Okay, I'm going to do another song review. This time it's a brand new song that just came out by one of my favorite bands that I've already discussed on this channel. That's right, I'm talking about Guns N' Freaking Roses, one of my favorite childhood bands. And so there's a new song out, and I am noticing all of the fan feedback and reviews and stuff. Thought I would put in my 2 cents. So one of the things that I got really good at doing, even when I was very young, was being able to analyze a song and performance and point out the areas to improve. Now, when you're dealing with rock stars, sometimes they don't want constructive feedback. Sometimes that's a hard thing to do, and sometimes that's a hard thing to take when you're an artist too. One thing I learned when I was taking writing classes was sometimes those that were the hardest on me, with the harshest feedback, was how I grew the most. So I tend to not candy coat things. I tend to be pretty honest. I tend to also try to, I don't like to just give negative feedback and no positive feedback. So I just watched one review of a guy who I don't think he was digging it, and so I thought I would do my review, just because I think this is a good song, and I think it's important, and I think it's timely, and I think it's the kind of message that people need to be hearing right now. Because one of the things I'm noticing out there is I'm noticing less compassion out there. Now, I'm going to state that with a caveat that when I discuss my own story in relation to this song, I hope people understand where I'm coming from, because I am normally a pretty forgiving person. So this song is obviously about abuse. It's about someone who survived child abuse, and I really kind of love the different approach they took. They used some different effects vocally, which the other review that I saw wasn't as much of a fan of as I was. I liked the vocal effects on this song. I think it created the kind of haunting feel that they were looking for, and I think it worked for that. I think the chorus in the background is supposed to sound like a bunch of kids singing the song. Like, this is a song about child abuse. This is a song about, what someone went through, having gone through what I've gone through. It's a song that I can relate to. It's a song that I think is an important message. I think if more people had spoken up for me, maybe back when I was younger, maybe I wouldn't be in the situation now. I also noticed that with other stuff going around out here, it didn't seem like anyone was caring about the kids out here either. And I'm just getting really, really tired of that. There's certain people that are mandatory reporters, and I don't even know that that's a thing anymore in this world, or at least not out here where I live. And standing by and watching child abuse and doing or saying nothing is not something that I can abide. So I think the timely reminder here that Axl and the boys are trying to give is like, remember compassion, remember the kids, remember to speak up if you see a child being abused. Don't stay silent. This is what they go through. This is what I went through. Like this is Axl saying, this is what I went through, and this is how it made me feel, and this is how it affected me. And I think like the moment I heard it, I was like, this is a song about abuse. Like, this is the kind of song I would write. And I just kind of got it. And sometimes when it comes to Guns N' Roses, it just clicks, and I just kind of get it. And I kind of get what their intention is, and I kind of get why they chose things musically the way they did. And so some people might think that this is very different. Some people might think he was masking, like this one reviewer thought he was just masking bad vocals. I went back and re-listened to these vocals again and again. And Axl's still got it, guys, okay? Like he can still nail it. He's a talented vocalist. Now, he has this thing where he has an amazing high register and then this really, really sexy low register. And sometimes in his songs he uses both, and the switching back and forth can be kind of difficult. If you are a vocalist, you understand what I'm saying there. That like switching back and forth mid-performance, mid-song, especially if you're like at a cold outdoor venue, that can be a bit difficult. Like one of the songs that I used to be more critical about with the boys, with this band live, was "It's So Easy," and I always had the same complaint that the performances seemed inconsistent. Sometimes he nails it on stage, and other times he didn't. And I spent the last 2 weeks going back and like, okay, why is that? And I think I figured it out. I think when he's in colder outdoor venues, his vocals suffer. And I think that's just because of the kind of vocal style he has and like the nature of his voice, and his upper register and lower register make, you know, any change in vocal cord temperature. Like some people used to say Axl was a total diva about that sort of stuff. But the way that he sings and the way that his voice naturally is, which is so great for rock and roll, but it's a more unique vocal style. Like I said, when he came on the scene, people hadn't heard that before, you know, and it impressed the heck out of the whole world. You've also got to take into account that as rock stars get older, you know, they have less energy. I know I have less energy, you know, and sometimes things don't always stay the same. And I think people need to remember that when they're seeing their older beloved rock stars performing nowadays. You need to remember sometimes bands haven't been on stage for a while. Sometimes their voice has changed over the years. I know my voice has changed over the years. So that happens too. And then trying to go back and sing the same old songs in your upper register that you used to be able to nail can be really difficult. So in those kind of ways, like I really don't fault inconsistent performances that way with older musicians, like some might. Now I went in and watched what was it, November of this year, live concert of theirs. Like I said, been going back and like I've been watching their whole live shows this year. I've been going back and watching old shows. And I still like they still have it in my opinion. Like they're still getting the crowds going. They still sound great. Some nights I think are better than others, and I think that has to do with the type of venue, sometimes vocal cord temperature, aging, and quite frankly with their passion on stage. I tend to not care as much about like you know, that when the show itself is also so great. But this November show that I just saw, he nailed "It's So Easy." And I was like, yes, there it is. There it is. Like that's what I know he's capable of. And I think over the years I've probably been a little bit like more critical when it comes to that song live. But I also didn't really always know why when I was younger too. Like, you know, when you're a kid, you don't always understand things like, oh, performing at a cold outdoor venue is going to mess up your vocals. Now that song, when he recorded it, from what I heard, he went all out in the studio and it just came out so brilliantly in the studio. But it is, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. It is a harder song to perform live. And again, it's Axl sometimes does these brilliant things in the studio, and sometimes trying to do that out in a live performance is a little difficult too. When you do it in the studio, sometimes you record things in chunks, in bits, and when you do it on stage, you have to do it all at once. And so I think I finally got to the bottom of the inconsistent It's So Easy performances, but I also think he's fixed it. Like that November show was amazing, and he just nailed that song. So then I went and watched live performances of The General along with the new release of the song too. Like I had to go download a new app for that, and now I'm not regretting that. Um, Sometimes I hate it when I have to download a new app to get new music, but this was one case where I didn't regret it because the song is great. And I think the message of the song is super important. I think they tried new things in the studio, which I love when bands do that. And this band is known for that. You know, you look at a song like Get Into the Ring, which I did a review for. That song just covers so many different subgenres in rock. It starts off kind of bluesy and ends more like a death metal song, and it's everything in between throughout the course of the song. So I think in the general, like one thing I liked about it was they're trying to use more vocal effects and stuff coming from someone like I grew up in the industrial genre, and that's kind of my area. And you know, we've talked about what makes that genre that genre. You know, the electronic sounds, the metallic sounds, the vocal effects, the distortion. And I love that he tried some of that in this song because I think it worked really well for the haunting vibe of the song. And industrial music is so great for that sort of thing. So it almost has like a little bit of an industrial vibe to me, just not like, you know, a speed thrasher song, but the way that they did some of the effects. If I had been in the studio, I probably would have done something very similar myself. Like if I was working on that same song in the studio, I probably would have done the same thing to the vocals. So I love that he's always trying new stuff like that. I think it worked really well for this song. And then this other reviewer who didn't like the song so much said that he thought like the chorus of what sounds like kids singing in the background, that was to mask crappy vocals. And I was like, no, I think it's a song about child abuse. And so a chorus of what sounds like, a haunting chorus of kids singing is, that lends to the vibe and of the song. It works really well for that. And I think that's why he did that. That like, this is a song about, some horrifying stuff that he went through as a kid. And so I thought that was really great the way he did that too. I actually really like the song. I'll go ahead and link it in the description. Go listen to it if you haven't. The live performances are sounding really great. I am still unsure whether that is a croc or a gator on the big screen. But some of that could just be the angle of the show, how it was filmed at the time. I couldn't quite tell. So, but it's sounding great live. I think they've performed it several times now, and it sounds great. It sounds like the fans really loved it too. So I have only good things to say about it. I like the song a lot. Now the song does talk about forgiveness and about how he might not have forgiven someone in time. Normally, like that's a sentiment that like I don't share in this, but the song is about his experience, not mine. I think forgiveness goes to a point, and I think it can be healing for some people. I think forgiving someone who fails to learn over and over when you know that forgiving them is just giving them another opportunity is a whole different story. And I think sometimes not forgiving can save your life. So, you know, in my case, I am less inclined to be forgiving. You know, A, I've suffered decades of it, and B, they have left me in the worst situation possible here, which, you know, that puts me in a situation where, you know, I don't know that I'll be doing that. So I think the song is really well done. I think you can totally tell how he must have felt as a little kid. It leaves you with that feeling of like how he must have felt as a kid in the music. And I really love how the song captured that feeling, because any kid who has been abused felt the same way. Like that was also my feeling. And I'm sure a lot of other kids out there who have lived through that. So, well done, boys, on that song. Well done, boys. And I see you brought the white jacket back, Axel. Yay! All right, so go check that song out if you haven't. I will link it in the description. And happy holidays.